My January pretty much disappeared in what feels like a few days' time, as February is about to begin. Jack has just posted the BTS for next month. Here are my insights and how you'll be able to make profit. Hey guys, it's Divine from Merch.com with BTS Merchanting Review number 21. The post starts off with a quest, and as is usually the case, we skip right over it merchanting wise. Next up we get to the God scoreboard, and I must say I got slightly excited when I saw the words Grand Exchange here, but this too won't be merchanting related. The bonus XP weekend was to be expected. This was already silently announced back in October, but the timing is pretty bad for most people that are getting their banks destroyed by Invention. A lot of items have been getting removed from the game by it, but on the other hand, there were also less people who stocked for the bonus XP weekend than in the previous years, as Invention had far more profit potential than any of those weekends over the past years. As a result of all of this, we're seeing quite a few changes from the usual for these weekends on both the supply and demand sides. This means that there are still a bunch of items worth investing in, and you will likely see more action for many of them closer to the weekend itself, as people are currently still more concerned with Invention, which won't be included in the bonus XP. If you have access to the live graphs, you probably noticed a crash on a lot of supplies around the release of Invention when many players dumped their bonus XP weekend stocks as they realized Invention was going to be far more expensive than they anticipated, which is something I kinda mentioned in the last video. Now, it was a great time to pick up some cheap stock, but other than that, there will still be plenty of opportunities. If you don't feel comfortable with investing, then you can still do a bunch of flipping. Now, if you've never done any investing for a bonus XP weekend before, or if you need a good reminder, you can check my bonus XP weekend merchanting guide here. People have been suggesting stuff that is included in Runemetrics for a pretty long time now, so it's nice to see this implemented. And overall, few people are going to end up paying a bond a month for all the extra features, as you get a lot of them for free, so you shouldn't be expecting any substantial rises in bond prices, but it's still going to be a bit more demand. Now, it's really something only hardcore PVMers should be interested in, and it should only be necessary whenever setups end up changing. What I mean by that is that when your setup is the same for 3 months because there are no updates or new bosses that would make you change it, you're unlikely going to keep paying for tools to analyze something that is just constant. As soon as a specific setup has been proven to be the best, you're not going to keep changing it around and analyzing it all the time. Now, I had to laugh when I saw the Invention 1.1 and 1.2 title, because 1.1 was basically the day after release, and 1.2 the day after that when they pretty much overhauled how to train the skill twice. They're pretty vague about what they'll be releasing, other than the Crystal Pickaxe and Hatchet and skilling perks, so we'll just have to see. There will very likely be an overall improvement to perks though, as people couldn't care less about those right now. As for my thoughts on Invention, as I feared the skill was rushed, I simply cannot believe that they implemented different from the design, which is what the designer Matt Malter said himself, that some manager kind of overruled his decision. The fact that after the first day they increased the weapon training method by 18 times the XP just shows their balancing is completely absurd. I feel like the idea behind the skill is still great, and the amount of dead content it is reviving is really awesome. It's removing a lot of items from the game as intended, but sadly this has been a bit too focused on a select few items still, and some people have gotten very lucky with that though. Right now they need to balance gizmo making versus training with augmented weapons better, and most importantly make the rare and expensive perks very powerful. Now, I'm not going to go in depth any further here about what is still flawed about the skill, I'll just let Jagex handle that. I was impressed to see them apologize publicly for screwing up so hard, but what impressed me even more is the profit uploaded on the merge logs this month. Over 27 bill in total, which is a tie with the 27 bill back in August 2013, of which about 20 bill was mine, I believe. Now, moving on, I feel like for the Zodiac event, they should have made a bunch of those lousy predictions that you'd always find in magazines about what's going to happen for you this month because of your Zodiac sign, but in some kind of cringy RuneScape style. But yeah, it's just another XP event, so I'll just be moving on to the Ninja updates. We've known about the God books for pretty long now, so at this point I'd recommend against investing in God pages. You can still flip them if their margins open up for a short-term investment, if you see a decent opportunity for that. Now this will have an impact on the price of scrimshaws depending on how good the God books are. But at the end of the day, the price of using a book can be much higher than a scrimshaw, considering those are supposedly higher leveled, which I said that may have changed in the design. Now you should therefore keep an eye on how much you're going to be willing to pay for a god book versus what the value of a scrimshaw will be. Now the free tips are really awesome in my opinion. I think many merchants have had accounts run out of members without having the cash available for another bond, so that will save us some time and effort, which is really nice to see. It's also good to see the Giant Mole and KBD added to free-to-play, as members don't care for them anyways. I'll be interested to see how Jagex alters their drop tables though, since they drop a bunch of members' items as well. The Valentine's event is the usual stuff, and then finally they're adding a boss for one weekend which drops a rare cape, which looks like it's some kind of joke. If they make it tradable, it's basically yet another discontinued item, or at least until they make the boss return later on, which is extremely likely the case because they're simply going to keep recycling the content. Now if it's tradable, then it's going to be an item some people can have a bit of fun with, but it likely won't be as rare as the Abomination Cape if that's the case. That's February for you. It should be a highly interesting month and I hope you'll do well in it. Take care and I'll see you all again next week for another video.